You know what sound that is? That's the sound of another noon whistle. I'm Chris Trottier.
And I'm John Anzalone, and I am sitting in the room with Mr. Cade Fink, 2018 graduate of Elkhorn Area High School.
Hi, guys. Nice to
Welcome,
meet you.
Cade.
Thank you.
Cade's been a lot of places. I can't wait for him to share with us today all the things he's done and places he's been.
Yeah, well, we'll just sit back and listen.
Yeah.
I like your new toy there, Mr. Anzalone.
Thank you. It's the original person noon whistle.
Yeah. We're going retro today.
We did. We went a little retro.
All right. So, Cade, tell us a little bit about you. What have you been doing since you graduated in 2018?
Yeah, so like John said, out of here in 2018, went on to UW-Madison right away. Ultimately ended up, I was there for 4.5 years, so just graduated a few weeks ago. Graduated bachelor's in electrical engineering, got a history minor for fun, and pilot's license outside of college, but along the way, that was kind of my COVID joy. So had a few interesting experiences for sure, getting to do all that. So great times.
Pilot's license, just personal flying or?
Yep, good question. So that's just private. So just it allows me to take me up, with my friends, something like that. Okay. Small airplanes, single engine, very basic, but still a lot of fun.
Do you have your own plane or?
No, good question.
Not yet?
So I'm in a flying club, which kind of gives me, it's a non-equity share in 2 airplanes. So there's 40 people in the club that just share these 2 airplanes. So, I've got great access to 2, and they're based out of Palmyra Airport, actually. So not far away at all. Okay. Kind of the ideal way to do it, I think. So.
Yeah. But you've done a lot of things, Cade. And, I guess thank you for your service as well, because you're also a Marine, correct?
Yep, that's right. So I'm in a program with the Marine Corps, and what it allows you to do is it allows you to go to officer candidate school, which I'm going to call officer boot camp, basically, over the summer. So I did that over the last summer, and then it allows you to come back and finish up your degree. So like I said, I went to officer candidate school, OCS, over the summer, came back, finished up my last degree at Madison. Didn't have any commitments while I was in school. I never had to put on my uniform for class or anything like that, and was completely uninterrupted in my education. So that was all normal, and now I'm just waiting to go back to the next school with the Marine Corps, yes.
So you had some experience along the way with, or experiences with boot camp. You were tested a few times, right?
Yeah, so... a lot of people describe OCS as the most fun they never want to have again, and I kind of like that. Or adult Boy Scouts is another good one too. They're all fun. It was intense, and I don't want to be the guy that's telling war stories about OCS, because that doesn't exist. It's fine at the end of the day, but you really learn to push yourself, and I think you kind of find your limits, which I think was kind of the most enjoyable part of it. You realize sort of what you're really capable of. So. Go ahead.
So where is this? What's next in the Marine Corps? Like, what's your goal there? Are you obviously officer training, but do you plan on? Or you want to be a pilot? You want to take that to the next level? Where do you see your Marine Corps journey taking you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, yep, you hit the nail on the head. Hoping for a pilot slot. Still working through a little bit of paperwork, logistics to sort of guarantee that, but. Regardless of what your job is in the Marine Corps, they make every Marine officer go through 6 months of basically an infantry school. And I don't know if you guys have heard the phrase, every Marine is a rifleman. I don't know if you've heard that thrown around.
I have heard that.
But it sort of bodes back to that sort of mentality. Yeah. So every Marine officer, they want you to be able to lead an infantry platoon, let's say just in case. So that's next. And then after that, I'll go on to actual job-specific training, which will be flight school.
Okay.
So I keep thinking, so as I see you, a graduate, I want to go back a little bit here and talk a little bit about you as the high school student.
Sure.
You had a great career there, very active in everything that Elkhorn had to offer. I think it's important for, you to tell your story on your role in like the auto simulation and the auto shop with Mr. Thorson.
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty cool little story that I don't want, to get lost in all your other amazing successes and accomplishments.
No, you're too kind. But no, I do think that's important. The auto shop is near and dear to my heart. So sort of the 1,000-foot view of it, Mr. Thorson, the director of the auto shop, the teacher there, was kind of looking for a student to handle, let's say, the business side of it so that he could focus on educating these students that were going into an automotive career so that he could focus on educating them. And sort of right place at the right time, I was able to fill that role, and man, did I have fun with it. And I can genuinely say, like, that was probably the single best thing that happened to me at the school district. That genuinely changed my life. I love to tell the story. I was absolutely positively certain I wanted to be a civil engineer. And I was in Mr. Thorson's class for, I think, 2 weeks before I logged on to my portal at UW-Madison and switched to mechanical, wanted to focus on automotive. Ultimately graduated electrical with the automotive focus, but that was a huge shift for me, and it literally changed my life. That wouldn't have happened without the auto program.
And those opportunities are available to kids,
yes,
throughout our district. What would you say when you look back? Obviously, you said it changed your life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
changed the path, the direction you wanted to go. Give me one or two or more skills that really you could transfer from that experience into college, Marine Corps. Like, what are some big skills that you learned through that experience?
I think, the automotive world, if you're not sort of familiar in it, it can be kind of mysterious. What is this mechanic doing to my car? Why do I have this bill? Why does this cost this much? And learning how to sort of translate a bill to somebody who's maybe not super well versed in the industry and able to explain to them calmly and sort of navigate through those things is super, super useful in life. You will always need to be explaining your subject matter, your expertise to someone who maybe doesn't understand it as well. And that's hugely, hugely useful. So being able to sort of navigate that at a younger age definitely helps me out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Cade, you worked hard as a student. You took advantage of a lot of programs and things that were offered. What advice or what would you tell someone coming into high school, like, to say, hey, take advantage of these things that Elkhorn has to offer because it was a game changer for me? Obviously, we know the autos.
Yeah, I would say, extracurriculars as a whole, if I can just throw a wide blanket. I think, the good thing about high school is that I think in the grand scheme of things, if you join something that you don't like, you can leave it and it's rather inconsequential. So I would say cast a wide net, find the things that you really like, try some new things. Again, maybe you'll find something that you didn't know that you would end up loving, and sort of find out what your passions are as early on as you can, and then really hone in and spend a lot of time on your extracurriculars.
Did you dive into the engineering programs at all?
Yeah. So I was in PLTW all 4 years, loved it. And that was also super, super useful for me as well. More so, maybe not so much on the career side, but more so on the academic side going into college. That definitely helped me out. Definitely.
Do I remember correctly, but that you took the capstone course, engineering, design, and development, and weren't you working on a project to recharge the battery through it? Was that you? I'm trying to remember.
No, that's fine. So, yep, that's right. So took the engineering capstone. And it was me and Nathan Chapman and Caleb Barlow.
That's right. Okay. Yep.
Oh. And we were working on this project that would take heat off the exhaust. And if you had hot on one side and cold on the other, you could generate just a little bit of electricity. And can we use this to charge a battery? And it's a concept that I still wish I would have explored a little bit more. But it was really awesome being able to kind of come up with an idea, price it out, and then execute it. And whether it's a great success or a complete failure, that is a great learning experience in high school.
Yeah.
So that capstone was awesome.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit. So UW-Madison, you were kind of, your age experienced COVID, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you mentioned that, you took advantage of the opportunity to get your pilot's license.
Yep.
Tell us about your UW-Madison experience and, how you were prepared for that experience from high school and, just give us a little insight into that.
Yeah. So a few things I want to highlight. The first thing is going back to that PLTW program, the PLTW program and the first engineering class I took in college were super similar. I can genuinely say, and I'm saying this as a good thing, that I did not learn a whole lot in those very entry-level engineering courses because the school district did such a good job of setting me up for it. So, I mean, that's huge, right? That was awesome. So that was great. And then, COVID hit, would have been at the end of my sophomore year. And it was kind of this interesting situation. So I got an RA job. And if you look at the cost of housing in Madison and you look at the cost of a pilot's license, they are roughly the same over the course of the year. So housing was then paid for. So I thought, why would I be responsible and save the money when I couldn't go fly? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But that was sort of the defining factor, if you will, that made me sort of want to pursue that. And there was a slight, I can travel a little bit in the state of Wisconsin with, and it was something fun to do. But that sort of is what sort of pushed me off the edge. I think just one big lesson sort of with all of that is like, you look at something like getting a pilot's license, you think, oh gosh, there's a lot of variables that are sort of wrong with it. I think if there's one thing I learned with that is like, there are some things in life that there will never be a good time for.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just kind of need to take that metaphorical leap of faith and just do it. Sometimes there's not going to be a good time to put your first foot forward. You just need to take that step regardless. Kind of the lesson learned there.
Yeah. If I said, give me 3 words that describe your high school education, what would they, at Elkhorn, what would they be?
I would say hands-on for sure with the engineering programs. Caring, I felt like I had a lot of care and support, from teachers, staff, whoever it may be. And trying to think of a last one. Some other positive, word. I was very, very good.
2 is good. We can settle for that.
Exploratory, I guess,
Okay.
because there is so much that the school district has to offer. And I appreciate that. There is, again, you can really cast a wide net and highlight all kinds of different things. And that's what I really liked.
And you're an inquisitive guy. So flipping that, what advice would you give for students upon graduation?
It's a good question. In the summer between whatever you're doing next, I want to speak to the kids that are going to college because that's the path obviously that I'm most familiar with. And I'm a huge proponent of going into the workforce right away. But, I can only sort of offer advice to the kids who are specifically college bound. And I would say try to do something loosely related to what you want to study. And if you end up loving it, that's great. Keep your major. If not, then you found out before it's too late. And your first year of classes, really, I think we can all agree, your first year of classes, it really doesn't matter what your major is. They're all kind of the same, right? But if you can sort of get some of that sort of trial and error out of the way before you start your career or before you start college, really start it, that'd be very good.
Yeah, I think you hit when you talk about exploratory and that recommendation. So like some people think, boy, it's super important for me to figure out what I want to do. Mm-hmm. I think there's as much truth and value as finding out what you don't want to do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right? I mean, at least start to boil it down versus going through the $100,000 experience and then walking out going, well, I really don't want to do this, or finding out you get into a career. So I think that's really good advice. So Cade, where do you think you'll be if we brought you back in 5 years? Where do we anticipate seeing you? What are you going to be doing? Tell us about that.
That's a fair question. So if I get a pilot contract, my commitment is 12 years.
Okay.
So hopefully I'll have a little bit more metal on my shoulders and on my chest, but still in the Marine Corps then. And, you stay in, minimum commitment is 12 years for pilots, right? If you stay in for 20 years, you get full retirement.
Oh, wow.
To me, it's easy for me to say now, but that's kind of a no-brainer. Why would you not do the extra 8? And then I can hopefully draw retirement pretty quickly. So that's my path right now. After that, hopefully actually go on to grad school. I'd actually like to end up teaching one day. So we'll see. So
we'll hire you.
What's that?
We'll hire you.
I'll give you a call in a few years.
Yeah, I'll be retired. No, I'm just kidding.
You going to be here in 20 years, Chris?
No. This will be a different noon whistle then.
Hey, you know what? Hey, we're reaching that time where we want to, say thanks to someone or an organization. And do you have one? You want me to start?
I do. I really want to thank Mrs. Sarah Boss. She's the executive director of the Walworth County Housing Authority, and they have supported our most recent application for another youth build grant. So that goes to the Department of Labor, and hopefully we can continue that very important program that builds affordable housing in Walworth County, but also teaches our students employability and construction skills.
Very nice. Very nice. I'm going to thank, and Cade reminded me of something we should always be thankful for, and that is our armed services and the people that serve. So thank Cade and all the others that help keep us free and do what they do.
Yeah, and thank you to Cade, and we're proud of you and appreciate everything you've done and all your kind words, because it's nice to tell your story because it's a good one.
Well, thank you guys, and thank you for setting me up for success. I'll throw it back to you. So it really takes a village. So thank you.
You bet. Uh-oh. Do you hear that, Jen?
Is it that time? Are you ready? Oh, all right.
That's the end of Noon Whistle. Thanks, Cade. Everybody have a great week.